Buddy, it's Lex.
I'm Jordan at PQ.com.
Jordan, the other day we were talking about, VPN. I love VPN and the fact that people can connect remotely. But it just seems that there's always a few people that need that, gentle nudge. Is it a gentle nudge?
It seems it's gentle nudge or targeted harassment, I guess.
I like that, targeted harassment. So
it seems like a lot of users think that they only need the VPN if they're trying to pull a resource off of the network instead of part of its critical function of being able to make sure that their machine is secure.
Get updates and security, those kind of things. So we're going to show you guys, we've come up with a way to targeted harass your end users so that you can actually get them to connect their VPN and obviously do some maintenance on their machines. A couple of things to discuss with that. So first of all, how do you know when a user needs to be logged in, right? I mean, there's obviously, they're not updated, but we were taking a look and first thought was, well, AD login, right? When's the last time they logged in and got connected to Active Directory?
Yeah, we have that right here in the main computers table. If you open up any of the machines, the last log on.
Yeah.
And then my idea was the scan date.
And we had a debate about this, the last successful scan date. So, okay. And the sad thing is we ended up going with your method, and why was that?
I wrote the PowerShell.
All right, well, apparently that wins.
I mean, if you want to create your own PowerShell script to handle this process, we can use whatever method you want.
I think I'm going to agree with you. We're going to do with the last successful scan.
So for the scan age on that one, the default of the standard is 7 days old, as you can see right there. I'm using the highlighter a lot just for JJ today.
Okay, so if the standard's 7 days, how long are you going to give your end users before you figure they're delinquent?
If I was doing this, I'm not going to use it in our example because all of our machines have scanned recently, but I would do 14 days.
Okay.
Because anything after 7 days, that just means it hasn't scanned within its window, and then there's a chance for another 7 days after that. So if they scanned like 45 seconds before or the reboot, so this way they've gone at least a full week at 14 days without checking in.
Okay. Delinquent jerks.
Delinquent jerks. Is that what we're going to name the collection?
Well, I think we should. I mean, let's name it something we know what it's about. So we're going to build a collection so that we can pull, obviously, machines that have not had a successful scan within 14 days.
What? Question mark. Is that
delinquent jerks?
It's question mark. I have no idea if that's the spelling.
Okay.
Let's see if the...
There is no way that I could spell. I'd have to go like late.
Yeah. And all we're doing is a successful scan date is right on the computer table.
Okay.
You go in there, and we want to do before. This was a trial and error thing.
Oh, that's right.
We did. So we're going to say relative date 1 day ago.
We're doing it 1 day ago. Just for demonstration purposes, the interesting thing we'll show you. Go ahead and run that.
We have 3 machines that have basically been over a day without scanning, where if we did the inverse and did it to after, we'd see the reverse where...
So again, I always get those mixed up. So I always think of it like this. June 2nd comes after June 1st. Mm-hmm. So I need to use before June 1st or whatever the date is, right? Before it.
I can't follow along with your thought process there.
You can't?
I would just say trial and error until you get what you're looking for.
To get what you're looking for?
But we know, like, Amigo scanned 38 minutes ago, so if this one is showing up in this case, we've got it wrong.
Okay. We're running this off of a collection. So this had nothing to do with PowerShell. You lied to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really?
Yeah. The PowerShell is just going to go and find the collection, whatever you gathered, it's going to use that. So your method would absolutely work with my PowerShell, but in your
cold, baby.
In your
That's
face.
just cold.
Delinquent. Oh, we got the proper spelling. We're going to see if I got it right.
Did we? Delinquent.
I think I got it.
You did it? Okay.
I'm going to go remove the question mark.
I think you should leave it or put it after the jerk. Delinquent.
You didn't get it right. You forgot an N.
I did?
Yeah.
Delinquent. All right, fine. But now I can remove the question mark.
You removed the space.
Apparently this was, now the question is, are they jerks?
Are they jerks? Well, it's debatable.
All right.
If it was mine, definitely. I mean, I'll be the first to admit. Okay. So the next thing you need, obviously, is you're going to email these people, so you need email addresses. Couple of ways. So here's the interesting thing. My first thought was, let's go query AD and pull that. But associating an email address with a machine in AD,
Yeah, everything that we're doing is a computer object scan, not a user scan.
Right.
So in the attributes for the computer object, there is I think SMTP email is what they named it, where you could put an email address there. Or if there's a username, you could tie a username to it there, where you could then do an AD query based on the user.
Okay.
In that one, so you needed to have a scan on the machine where it would pull down
Okay.
that attribute.
I'm already getting confused. So what we did
Look,
was
I'm just
custom
gonna-
field.
I'm
Now,
just
I
gonna
know, I
finish it.
understand where
Yeah.
you're going, but we put in a custom field and filled that out. So, once you get that associated with the machine, it becomes significantly easier.
Yeah, and that's just right here. We have a couple of different webcasts on this where we go through importing and how you can collect that data. That if you get a CSV where it has the computer name with the email address, you can just import that directly and be
Super
done with
easy.
it. All right.
Okay, so now we've got email address for the computer. We've got successful scan date. In our custom field, where do we go from there?
Now we're going onto the PowerShell.
Into the PowerShell?
The PowerShell. And you'll be excited to notice I have moved on to VS Code. I finally moved away from ISE.
I'm going to eventually get there, maybe.
I'm about a year late, but I've made it.
All right. Okay, so how does this break down?
All right, so a lot of this, and I do have this up on the bonus content for people to download. I've removed, obviously, all of my regular information, so the parameters don't have a default value. You can go in and put it in there, or you can call it by the value.
So if you're going to use this, guys, read through
Yeah,
it.
I put a comment after each one to kind of give you an idea of what you're looking for.
Okay.
All right, so the first one is basically, we have emails in there, but we don't know if they're accurate emails.
Okay.
And if they're not, we want to capture that into a CSV, and we're going to email ourselves of machines that failed to get updated.
Okay, bad email addresses. Okay, makes sense.
The second one is the database path. I actually kept this one in the one I uploaded because that's the default. If you don't have it in a default location, you can just change that path there. The second one, this is, I did the credentials with a key file and a password file, which is something you can see from a blog by Chris that's out there, where he generates a random key file and then captures his password and he encrypts it that way. This one is...
I have a question.
Okay.
It's on the desktop.
So yeah, this is bad. Don't. Not
Bad
only is it in the
juju there?
desktop, they're in the same location.
Yeah, okay. I'm like, oh.
So anyone that has the key file and the password can decrypt that and use what they want
All right,
for
so
it.
for this purpose only.
So, and the important thing, if you're running this on the same machine with the same user logged in, you don't even need the key file.
Okay.
You can just export the password as a secure string, and it's going to be encrypted in such a way that it has to be that machine and that user logged in to be able to decrypt it. That's the
Okay.
most secure way.
And I just want to make sure we've got lots of videos on secure credentials for PowerShell.
There's quite a few out there.
Okay.
On that one. But the overall gist, if it's same machine, same profile, don't worry about the key file. If there's lots of different methods. I went with the key file one just because that's the one I'm most comfortable with. As you can see, it gives me a warning here saying this is a password, but it's not a secure string. It is a secure string. I just put it in the file as a secure string, so it's fine the way it is. It's just don't worry about that underline there.
Okay.
All right, and the other thing is your SMTP and the port. And then the last two are information that I couldn't catch with SQL. As you know, this is what I wrote here is baby's first SQL query.
Oh yeah, you sent that to me like on Tuesday, and you were so proud, and I'm like, dude, there's a better way.
Of course, there's a better way, but the fact is, I attacked this with gusto, and I SQL'd successfully.
There was a lot of gusto, but there is a better way that we can do one query and it'll pull information. But I felt bad I couldn't just give it to you because you were just like, check it out, dude. I totally did it.
What I couldn't grab on my own, and it's something with when I added a fourth table, is I've got all the information but I wanted to grab the custom variable ID automatically, and I wanted to grab the ID of the collection. With 3 tables, I could get all of my information, including those that don't have a value in it, which we don't want to skip those if they're over there not checking in. Even if there's no email, you want them on your list.
Yeah.
When I cut it back to 3 tables, I could get the no value. I spent a lot of time trying to correct that, and I found a whole lot of ways not to.
Okay.
So instead what I did is the 2 datas from the table I couldn't find, I just figured I can showcase how to catch those.
How'd you pull those? So to get the collection ID.
The collection ID is we're going to go to open the elevated command prompt, and it's just a CLI.
ODQ. Wow,
Oh,
you've
wow.
been taking typing lessons from me, haven't you?
Inventory. And then I've already forgot the name of what I'm looking for.
Get collection.
Get collection. And then just whatever I named the collection, which is go. And I'm not using delinquent jerks. I'm using a pre-built static collection because this has examples that will work for when we run
Okay.
a script. So we need webcast example because we
Pull that
spent-
and then pull delinquent jerks because I want to know what the idea of delinquent jerks is too.
Okay. First, let's run that one. And this is going to, and that's one window I didn't get centered. Apologize.
Hey, question, can you just run it and it'll give you a list of all of them out there?
If well, get collection requires a specific one. There is
Okay.
one that for get all collections that will give all of it.
Oh, okay.
But that's going to be, it's including the pre-built ones.
Oh, yeah,
it's going to be 1,000.
significant. Okay.
So the ID for this one is 1269. So we're going to come up to the collection ID and change that to 1269. And you said you wanted to see the.
I just want to see the
You just-
delinquent jerks.
You just
I'm
want to
wondering
see
if
me
it's
try
like-
to type delinquent jerks again.
I do that, and I'm wondering if it just increments by one, so it could be
And
like
if the-
1270 or
If the
1270.
question mark causes a problem.
Is the question mark still in there?
Yeah, it's after jerks now.
Oh,
Jeckers. Let's find out.
yep. Question mark does cause a problem.
Oh well, it just it wasn't found. Let's make sure.
Oh,
Oh,
question mark.
apparently
wrong
I didn't
spot.
move it. I didn't save it after I fixed the typo.
And you didn't spell it right either. So
Deliquent jerks.
Yeah, delinquent.
delinquent question mark jerks. Delinquent.
So the problem is the system doesn't understand my complex typing variable. So 1272 is for
Okay,
the new one.
all right.
So that is going to be static.
Picked
Just,
a different one.
yeah, different word. I think Lex picked that word for a reason.
I like it because it proves that I'm not the only person who can't, well, spell or type. Maybe.
And not only did I spell it wrong, then when I spent that time correcting it, I didn't even bother
You
to
better
save it.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Okay.
All right, so now we have that 1269. Now we need the custom field ID, which that is just in a. First, I'm going to capture the DB path in a variable because I'm going to need that.
So you pulled that from SQL
Yeah.
listing?
Well,
Okay.
that's
of the
just where
table.
the database is. Now I'm
Okay.
going to query that one.
Okay.
We're going to see if I can do that live. From I always forget from,
You,
and then it's custom computer items.
I think it's items. Yeah.
Items. And then we want to pipe that into the SQL and call the path we just saved. Did I miss something? I didn't put a closing quote.
Yeah. Close it.
Back to the up arrow, and we're going to go.
Now we'll run it.
Now we'll run it.
Oh, okay.
Making their email is 4.
Number 4,
For the
okay.
opportunity. So those are both things that you can grab from SQL. It's just if you can get that with the 4th and 5th tables to still include the no values.
I bet you Stephanie's already got the thing written. She
Probably.
probably just cranked that out right now.
She does show a lot of pride and pride make me look bad. I mean, it's not hard.
Love Steph.
Yep.
All right.
So that's just the rest of the query where basically we're joining the tables we want and then we're grabbing the value, which is the email address and the computer name.
Now you included your SQL in the online content so they can see where we're grabbing information
This should
from.
be the same.
Okay.
Either way, there's nothing that needs to change on that one.
So remember, you're going to get your ID for your collection, ID for your custom item.
Yep. All right, and then just like we saw when we typed it manually, this is the SQL query we're running, and then we're building a blank array. This is so we can build the CSV of the invalid entries,
Okay.
and then building the credential object with the key file and my credential here. And that's getting all the information. Now we're getting to the actual email phase.
Okay.
So for that one, for each entry in there, for each machine that it has in there, it's going to come in and say, oh, go ahead.
For each entry in
To emails.
to email. Okay.
Yeah.
I wanted
So-
to make sure I understood that was.
When I first wrote this, you asked, can you do something? And I just littered it with jokes.
Yeah, you did. And,
And-
then I sent it to a
And you
customer.
found out
I
it was
did.
for one of our customers, and I was a
They thought
little
it was
embarrassed.
hilarious when I sent it to them. They loved it. But
So the first thing it's going to do is to make sure that it is a valid mail address. That doesn't mean that it can send to it. It's just that it does have the @ symbol and the dot,
And the dot
whatever.
whatever, yeah.
And if it is there, it's going to build up the email from all the information we put up in our parameters up top. The to and then.
or you can actually
the-
send one so we can read what it actually gets sent across.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
cool. Okay.
so the body, I don't There's probably a better way to do that than just have it plain text that scrolls all the way across, but I didn't. And then subject and everything, it just builds up. You put in the credential you created so you can send, and then it's going to send that message. And then if it doesn't pass the email check, it's going to come in, it's going to add it to the list of the array, and then it's going to build a CSV and attach that CSV and send an email to you, or you being the sysadmin, saying these machines aren't good.
Okay.
All right. And now that I've made changes live,
That's going to be solid. All right. You're a gambling man.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
We'll see. Okay. Oh,
Hey, there's the first email.
You should VPN buddy. All right.
And then it's...
I got to read this. Hello, fellow human. I, with my human eyes, have noticed your computer named Granny needs update installed. And I and all the other non-robots believe you should connect to the VPN so we can install these completely non-invasive updates that will in no way invade your privacy.
This is well written.
I like that. There's a period at the end of that, though. I mean, that's the only comment I'm like...
Blame the non-robots. And then the other one is just see the attached for all the computers that have issues. And then it's the CSV here. And these ones did not have valid emails.
Okay.
In this case, the person that hadn't logged in the VPN and the system administrator were the same person, making that a little bit easier.
Excellent.
All right. Do we have any questions? Or?
Wow, we've been a long time without asking any questions today. We just rolled through this.
I don't really have any.
Yeah. We've got one. It's somewhat unrelated, but yeah, let's go ahead.
All right.
Hey guys, we have been seeing temp local profiles on PCs that can't authenticate, and in a short while have seen as many as 300 profiles from PDQ, which will start filling up the hard drive. Is there a way to have the scan move on if it can't authenticate so it doesn't create a temp profile? Now, just to give you guys a heads up, Colby took a stab at this one and I think referred them to support. So I don't know if you have any insights, but there you go.
So let's kind of just walk through the process of what happens, right? So the credentials you use when you deploy or scan, right? It's going to log in with those credentials, correct?
Yep.
Okay. So it should have a profile for your default credentials. In our case, we're using Quintana, right? So we should always see a Quintana. Now, if Quintana can't authenticate, then you should get an error saying it's just, and there should be no additional. I'm trying to understand why would it create more.
It feels strange that it can't authenticate, but it's still building the profile.
Yeah.
So that, unfortunately, we could write a PowerShell to track down how many there are and delete all those, but it's that major issue that has definitely come into support, I think.
Yeah, we're gonna have to definitely go with support on that.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's not one we can give a great answer for.
I mean, understanding how it's supposed to work, hopefully it'll, from that aspect, if you're seeing other things other than that, I don't know, it's a place to start working, I guess.
Yep. So after this, one thing I was finding when I was creating this PowerShell is I had more and more ideas on how I could customize it to myself, but I couldn't put those in there because the goal is to keep it kind of basic and give ideas. Like I don't have any error handling, like if the email is a valid email address based on its structure, but it can't actually send, it comes back with an error that way, I don't have anything to capture to say, this email is not working. There's kind of a different list. So there's a lot of customization you can do this. It all comes down to defining how you're going to build or how you're going to capture all the data and then what you're going to do with it. But from this is kind of just a start point where you can really flesh that out and build a lot.
I mean, I got to say, I'm actually really impressed with the wording of the email because I would have went really passive aggressive. I see you really don't care that IT might be. I mean, you could really send something just, don't send something scathing.
That's another thing you could add is you could put in a tracker to say this is the third time I've emailed them, and you could get more and more passive aggressive.
It was interesting. The customer you wrote this for originally, they took this and then they sent it back to me when they had altered it, and it actually would turn off their email so they couldn't send email out of the company until they got logged onto VPN.
So if they did that by hub transport, that doesn't just come back on when you remove them. Like if they have a group saying these people can't send external emails and add them to that, even if you remove them, they're not going to be able to email out until the updates, which is a random variable, and each hub transport is going to be its own timeline. So even when they get back and connect to them, they might be an hour and a half before they can email without restarting the hub transport service, which would bring down email everybody for 5 minutes.
I was going to say there needs to be some punishment for not doing this right.
That's what I did for people that kept on sending marketing emails at my last job. Is I would lock them down like that.
Lock them down, huh?
Yep. Okay.
All right. So let me just run this by you really quick. Go back to delinquent jerks,
All right.
just because. Let's just go change that field and go look at last AD log on.
You want to see?
I just want to see how many machines come up with that, just because.
I want to hand over the mouse and keyboard.
Oh, really?
And let you handle that.
You're gonna let me do that? That's a disaster waiting to happen, man.
I've done my work. Now it's just time to look pretty.
Look pretty. You got it down?
Yeah, I'm doing good. All right, here we go.
Okay.
How's
Oh,
this?
hey, it works better if the mouse is not upside down. All right, successful scan date. We'll say last 80 log on. 80 last log on. I'm wondering. Well, let's run it off one day and we'll kind of see where it goes from there.
Well, there's one thing.
Significant.
Well, because people aren't really logging in
That's a good point.
to those machines very often. I would be surprised if what Daffy Duck is the one you use for your demos, right?
Yeah.
So that one should have a login more recently. That would be the good one to test for.
So I'm sorry, just go after, like, we'll say 14 days at this point. See what we got. Okay, so it's now narrowing those down. Microverse, Rick Sanchez, Jake. Do you know anybody named Jake?
I mean, no one that does a satisfactory job.
Wow, yeah, that's kind of a throw down. How? All right, Santa's helper. I don't think that. Okay, most of these haven't been on forever.
I think that these are the old physical machines at the old
That we haven't
studio.
cleaned out AD.
Yeah, so we just need to update our AD. Or do we even have full sync on? I don't think we do.
I don't know. Okay. Once again, for your Active Directory sync, guys, here's the one thing. Active Directory sync is we do have it turned on.
That's mixed. It's
Mixed
not going
sync,
to delete.
okay. So the thing I love about this is it's going to force you eventually to get your AD cleaned up.
If you have it.
Because once I delete this, right, 7 days from now when it runs again, it's going to add them back in unless I go in and clean up AD, which is good and bad. There's two ways I go about cleaning up AD. One is I'll either go mark them disabled because I don't sync disabled computers here. The other, and my preferred method, is I build an OU and I exclude it.
Yeah, that's for if you have a place where they have to keep said objects alive for 7 years.
I'm always afraid I'm going to get rid of one that someone just hasn't turned on, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I do it that way, and then I exclude it. But
All right. JJ, I apologize for the centering on preferences.
yeah,
That's
you
not
don't.
good. No, I've been doing better. The script ran into issues, not me. It wasn't me.
was it me?
It was the script.
Well,
was
if
me.
it's the computer, I'll forgive it.
Okay, that's good.
All right. So if we had actually used the delinquent jerks thing and we just changed this, we don't have to change that ID in PowerShell because the ID didn't change. We just changed the parameters of.
Yeah, once you have the
collection
ID
itself.
for that one, if you built a new one or if you deleted, even if you delete and rebuild, you're gonna have to grab it again.
Okay. Excellent.
But for this one, even with change, it shouldn't matter. And this is kind of an example of where we're doing the test. In this one, it would add the ISCHQ to the list of machines that it doesn't have email addresses, and then it would fail to send emails to, and WKRP, because apparently I didn't put a dot for not fake org.
Not fake org. Do we have a SQL browser on this bad boy? I swear I was going to install it the other day. Nope, I didn't. I need to install that. So I was going to actually show you how to go in and look at those tables in SQL directly because it's got a list of tables. What's that one? DB Browser Lite or something like that?
Yeah, DB Browser Lite's the one that I used when I wrote that query.
And then I say, okay, I'm just going to throw this out there. We don't lock that down so you guys can look in the table. Huge caveat here, guys. If you're going to go play in the database, please, before you do anything, just go into preferences under database and just smack the backup now because, delete
Query all you
from
want.
whatever.
If you're moving beyond a query, you probably want to back up because you never know what you're going to
I
break.
still say backup. 'Cause
Even
here's
if
the
it's just a query?
Here's the thing, man. SQLite's built for single instance use, right? So if let's say I've got a field, a record in use, and I try to hit it at the same time, there's a possibility of corruption. Possibility, pretty small, but again, if you've done a lot of work, why have to redo that work? Run that backup.
I can say with SQL, like writing that query, I've always avoided it because it seemed something that I wouldn't have interest in or wouldn't because I always just I'd need a query for something, I'd throw it up to you or Stephanie or anyone that has SQL and say, hey, how would you get this in SQL? Now that I sat down and wrote the first one, like it took way longer than it probably needed to take and I'm missing components, but the logic of it makes sense now. to where I think in the future I'll probably just take a crack at it first.
Take a crack at it. Now, you're okay if in the future you send me one and I just kind of snicker a little bit and go, okay, that's cool. Here's how you do it, right?
I was okay with you correcting this one. You're saying that you didn't want to hurt my feelings, but you were just lazy.
I didn't. Okay, let's be real. I got to like actually, I ended up having to link 5 tables, it wasn't 4.
Yeah.
So that I could put in the name of the collection and the name of the custom field. And it got very complex and very, very long. And before I could finish.
I'd actually still like to see
You want to see
your
what it looks
version.
like?
I want to see how you add the 4th table and keep the null values, because I can't figure out, it must be within the way I'm joining, but I can't figure out where I'm missing that. So I would love to see that.
Again, if you join a table that doesn't have all the information, let's say you're linking on computer ID, right? And you've got 5 computer IDs in this one and 2 computer IDs in the other table. You just limited these 3 out because they don't have a match.
So
there's some filtering.
The first
You'd have
one
to
that
do-
I did was inner join, because I only want the computers, basically the computer table joining the collection table. And I only wanted the computers in the collection. So that was an inner join.
Okay.
The next one was a left join, saying no matter what, I want everything that has the value of the email.
Where did you pull up this information so you could pull this, get that information? Did you go to a website?
Yeah, just a lot of Googling.
Lots of Googling?
Lot of
Anything particular you enjoyed?
So there were 2 sites that I used a lot, but I can't remember the name of them. I could look it up again, but there were 2 sites that were they had a column on the right-hand side of here's what this does, and you can just click through and it'd give you 4 or 5 examples.
Okay.
And from there, I was able to get that. So mine went inner join, left join to try to keep everything. But when I added the 4th table with that left join the second time, it did not include null, no matter what I tried.
Oh, well, I'll finish it and send it to you, man.
Okay.
So,
All right. Do we have any other questions that came in?
Nope, we are good.
All right.
All right, you guys go ahead and wrap it up.
Yeah. Thanks for everybody for tuning in. Hopefully it gives you some ideas how to contact users that aren't connecting when you need them to.
you know, the nice thing is you don't just have to use it for VPN, guys. I mean, once you know how the email works and how to pull that information out, you can, you know, send emails for pretty much anything.
Yeah, no matter what the collection is, that'll be fine. So you don't have to change the SQL query. You can just change the collection itself.
There you go.
All right, for PDQ.com, I'm Jordan.
And I'm Lex. Thanks much.
Thanks for joining our webcast today. If you have additional questions, please feel free to reach out to our support forums. Thanks again, and we'll see you back here next week.